Hello and welcome to Stefan's studio. I'm Stefan Villavicencio, a Hispanic research professional and a budding academic advisor. I'm currently working as a social and behavioral researcher at the University of South Florida's College of Public Health. I'm working on a project called the Florida Birth Defects Surveillance Program. In that role, I collect data for birth defects. And how do I do it? I read medical records and enter data into questionnaires. I've been at this role for 9 years. Prior to that, I lived near Washington, D.C., and worked as a research assistant on a diabetes epidemiology study at the George Washington University. And this project lasted 8 years. Thus, I have accumulated 17 years of experience working at universities, and I hope to continue to stay working at universities into the future. However, I wish to transition into a more interactive role as a counselor, helping students figure out their college schedules and how to meet their goals. Thus, I am studying to be an academic advisor. My future as an academic advisor will use my MBT personality type, which is the INFJ, also known as the counselor. Also, I plan to use my Toastmasters training and learning. What is Toastmasters, you might ask? Toastmasters is a network of clubs where members practice public speaking. Members get access to educational material that help them with a variety of strategies in public speaking. And as members take on different roles, they get to try on different skills and even different leadership skills as well. Over the past 7 years in which I've been active here in Tampa, I myself have acted as a club sergeant of arms, as a club vice president of education, as an area director, and as a district director. When starting Toastmasters, it's good to focus on the club at the club level and to get to know other members and to start learning speaking strategies. Some of these strategies include table topics, which is impromptu speaking for 60 to 120 seconds. And a more advanced skill is vocal variety. Vocal variety is actually a set of skills that include changing the speed, the pitch, and the volume of your voice to provide emphasis or to imitate action, such as da 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 da. In fact, I'm still trying to get better at vocal variety after 7 years. Changing the subject and returning to my job as an abstractor for birth defects. You might wonder, how did I get this role, abstracting birth defects? Well, I went to medical school, but I did not finish. Although that was a difficult journey to reach medical school, it was also difficult to decide to abort the mission of graduating. However, I believe that this decision has led me to a more balanced, happier life, free from too much stress. Also, I learned about the MBTI personality theory and how your own personality type lends you to favor certain jobs, lifestyles, relationships over others. And while contemplating my next career steps, I talked to my mom. She encouraged me to consider other university roles. I considered research administrator, but it didn't really, I couldn't see myself do it. I also considered being a psychology or social work counselor. So the next step that I took to go towards being a counselor was to talk to a USF recruiter in education. And during this discussion, I realized that there was before I got to a master's of social work, that I could do a short program, such as all those certificate programs that there are. And among those certificate programs, I found one that sounded really good. It was called academic advising. And it sounded like the perfect role for me. So I applied, I was accepted, and here I am. And now I'm looking forward to be a counselor to students to help them in their educational and career planning. That's enough of me. Now to talk about the project, actually the video that we just saw about by Chimamanda Adichie and her speech about the dangers of a single story. She described Nkali, which is an Igbo term, and when I heard her describe this term, the first word that came to my mind was dominance. And what does that mean in terms of a advisor or student relationship? Well, to me, I think of it in the same way as someone who's given power for the purpose of having responsibility and providing service in that role. Take for an instance a doctor who has a responsibility to keep his or her patients healthy and to do no harm. Likewise, as an academic advisor, I believe that I have a duty to, number one, provide guidance to students. And number two, to understand each of their individual and unique goals as well as their personalities. And number three, to guide them towards their goals in the best way possible. And number four, to make sure that they start their college years to meet their requirements as early as possible. Once I get to know my students, I hope to challenge them a little bit, but I don't want to get them overwhelmed. I don't want to stress them out too much. And also to consider their diverse interests, their diverse personalities, their diverse histories and backgrounds, and to give them a chance to be themselves and to really get to know themselves. I would encourage them to check out the many clubs at the universities, try to get involved in at least a couple of them. I know that when I was at the university, I got involved in the Hispanic Society, and that was really good for my social, trying to get to know my fellow Hispanic people, which I didn't really know too many growing up. But when I went to the university, I started to get to know more and to know more about my culture, my background. And funny enough, yeah, I'm still learning about my Hispanic background, and I've really come a long way. But I have to admit, it was because of ancestry more than anything else. But that's just my personal quirky story. I'm not going to talk about much of that right now, but I will say that diversity is important. Respecting diversity is important to me. And, and I look forward to get to know many different college students of many different backgrounds, many different types of people, and and to help them find the right path for them, to also give them comfort, to allow them to make mistakes, to remind them that when they're in college, they're still young, they're still allowed to try new things, get to know themselves better, and that it's okay to make mistakes. When mistakes happen, it's best to recognize them and to understand why they're mistakes, or if they're mistakes, and if they really are mistakes, to try to learn from them. And if they're not, figure out what's true, or as try to get to as close to the truth as possible. Um, and yes, to be there as a support and a guidance to my students. I look forward to get to know you all better, and I hope you get to know me better, and thank you for the opportunity to share about myself.